Well, it's amazing to think there's a lot of friends here. This really helps us to appreciate just how much Tim has been loved by so many people. You know, we really do hate to get together for situations like this, but we're glad we're able to be together like this. We're gathered here to remember our dear friend, our brother, relative, father to Sandy, husband to Robin, our great friend, Tim Carroll, or as many of us knew him by his nickname, Timbo. Marshall E. Tim Carroll Jr. was born on August 24th, 1958, and he died on January 8th, 2021, unexpectedly and tragically. He was just in the process of doing something he loved. Check out the surf. That just shows how short life or how quickly things can happen to us. Tim was born in Durham, North Carolina. He was adopted at 3 months by Elliot and Dory Carroll. He is survived by his wife, Robin, his daughter, Sandy, his sister, Jane, niece, Cynthia, and her children, Tara and Nick, mother-in-law, Linda Lovano, brother-in-law, W. Todd Forshey, and his wife, Georgia, aunts Lucy Carroll and Marjorie Groon, and many cousins, close friends, and acquaintances. He was preceded in death by his parents, M. Elliot and Dorothy G. Carroll, brother Frederick G. Carroll, and father-in-law Albert G. Lovano. You know, as we all know, Tim was really one of those friends you want to have. He was a true friend. He always had a listening ear, didn't he? He was a very humble individual, never put on airs. He was always loyal. He cared about each and every one of us. And he had just that calming disposition. You just enjoyed being around him, and you always felt better after you talked with him. And yet at the same time, he had that enthusiasm. He had that adventurous spirit, especially when it came to the surf. Tim grew up in a loving home with his siblings, first in Durham, North Carolina, then in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Then they moved to Media, Pennsylvania, which is near Philadelphia. And then the family was going to move back to Chevy Chase just before his freshman year in high school. But Tim opted to stay in Media, and he enrolled in Westtown Boarding School, which incidentally his father had attended. And he wanted to also stay near his friends. Incidentally, if some of you don't know, his father actually worked at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. But even despite this, Tim grew up as your typical boy. He loved to play outside, and he picked up skateboarding. In fact, he got so good at it. I know I used to talk to him about how crazy he must have been dropping into those swimming pools back in the 70s. But he got the name to be the general, basically, of other skateboard enthusiasts. And he also played at many other sports, too. And then, of course, he had his funny side. His sister Jane remembers him putting some dog dew on a stick and chasing the girls around. That sounds like a typical boy, doesn't it? So, you know, he just grew up as a happy kid. Later, when he was a little older, when they would take family vacations in Hawaii, he learned how to surf. And so we can see that became one of his lifelong enjoyments. Now, some of the classmates when he was in high school at Westtown mentioned that he just got along with everyone. He would never put on airs at all. And he would actually reach out to everybody. You know how there's always kids in school that get picked on? Well, those were the ones Tim would help out. He would, and they loved him so much that they've kept in touch with them for years afterwards. And on his senior year of high school, he did something that surprised them. He actually volunteered to be the proctor for the incoming freshman class. And so what this individual would do is they would have to supervise the freshmen, set an example for the freshmen, and live in their dorm, which was known as the Stone House. Now, this surprised many of his friends because Tim, is a free spirit. He wasn't inclined to follow rules. It was kind of out of character. So they thought, maybe he just wants to get out of the senior dorm. Well, there was one event that happened. There was a party that took place there, and they got into a little bit of trouble. But, Tim, being the person he was, he accepted full responsibility for it. That just shows the kind of character that Tim had. Well, when he graduated from high school, he told everyone he was going to go to California because there in California, he would get to surf real waves, not just the ripples that are on the East Coast. So that's what he did. And he found himself in Arcata, California. And he went to a school there, Humboldt State University. And there he got a BA in liberal arts with an emphasis on recreational management. But he also found time for surf. He surfed some of the spots in our area that they can get quite large. There's a place called Patrick's Point that rivals Mavericks. And he was like one of the first guys in those early days to be surfing that spot. Well, it was during this time in the fall of 1981 that I met Tim. See, being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I had started a Bible study with his roommate from Japan. And so being the type of person Tim was before the study, I'd come in and he'd say, come on and sit down and let's chat a little. And so we would talk and we'd have some coffee. And he was just a really nice individual, really warm. And then one day he just popped the question to me. He goes, that book you're studying with Moss? I just wonder if you could study one of those books with me. And that's what happened. We started a Bible study, and his roommate actually quit studying and he continued. So for the next 2 years during the school year, he would study the Bible, come to our meetings, and he really appreciated what he learned because when he graduated and moved to Santa Cruz, he continued with that Bible study and got baptized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, after his baptism, Tim soon began to embark on what we know as Jehovah's Witnesses know as regular pioneering, which what that means is he dedicated his time to the full-time ministry, trying to help people to learn the things that he was learning from the Bible. But he still had time for surf. In Santa Cruz, anyone that's from Santa Cruz, which I see there's a lot of friends here, we know that if you're in the lineup a lot, you end up getting a name. Well, guess what Tim's name was in the lineup? Preacher Man. So that kind of tells you that he did some preaching out there on the water, didn't he? Well, it's during this time he met another full-time pioneer, Robin Forshey, and they fell in love with one another and got married in 1986. And from this point, for some 10 years or more, they embarked on some amazing adventures. They went to the big island of Hawaii to help with the preaching work there. And I remember Tim telling me that they lived in this really home of meager means. And every morning there'd be this gecko that would get in the house. And he'd be drinking his coffee, and it didn't matter where he moved around the place, that gecko seemed to leave him a deposit. Isn't that funny? Well, they kept reaching out, and they eventually got some training at the island of Guam, and they were later assigned as missionaries in Micronesia, and they were assigned to the island of Ponape. Now, Tim knew that from the outset, it looked like there was no surf there because, it's surrounded by mangrove trees, so that kind of blocks that. But Robin remembers him always climbing the hills after service, trying to find that perfect surf somewhere on the island. He knew it had to be there, and he was right because it's got a world-class surf spot. Look forward to seeing him surf that in the new world. Well, eventually they returned to Santa Cruz, but their journeys weren't over because he had another opportunity, him and Robin, and so they went to Dominican Republic, and they would spend time helping the individuals there. But Tim somehow found a surfboard that someone he got for really basically free, I believe it was. And all the locals would see this one guy surfing later in the day by himself, and they would be going, tiburon, which means shark, But Tim, being the good nature he was, he just continued on in their preaching and so forth. And it's funny because, like Robin said, someone jokingly said, you missionaries are sometimes a little off. Well, Tim probably relished that. Well, in 1997, they started a new adventure. They had their daughter, Sandy. And, you know, I saw firsthand how Tim was just so happy about that. I mean, he was just a good father, a loving father, a nurturing parent. I know many sisters probably would love a husband like that was willing to help Robin every step of the way, get up in the middle of the night, take care of Sandy. And of course, as she started growing up, he just had her involved in all kinds of adventures with them. So he was truly a nurturing parent, and he helped her to love the water. Maybe not so much surfing. She tried it, but she learned to really value the importance of keeping water pure and clean. And so that's what she got in a degree in that. So they did their hiking and camping and all these good things. And he, you know, as they grew up, they went to different places from Oregon to California, and they finally settled in Bakersfield to help Robin's mom and husband. And I remember at this time I had moved down there, and we enjoyed the Channel Islands with another friend of ours, Butch Towers, and we would surf the Channel Islands. That was fun. But even in Bakersfield, even though many of the friends haven't known him as long as some of us, they quickly saw that he was a good, loving-natured person, compassionate, generous. He built up others. He helped with Kingdom Hall projects. He would comfort others. And even during the pandemic, many of you no doubt appreciate the fact that he would deliver goods to your home, and with it, flowers. No wonder some affectionately called him Timmy. He was just one of those people that could start up a conversation with anyone and make them feel like they're the most important person in the room. We are certainly going to miss him, aren't we? And it's really tragic when things like this happen. So it's apparent, isn't it, that, you know, at a time like this, we really do need comfort. So we're going to talk about that, why it's important for us to get comfort, and also why it's so important to see what the Bible has to say. It actually gives us a hope for the future and how we can benefit from being here. You know, as far as the grieving process, it's challenging, isn't it? Probably some of us are still in huge shock, you know. Maybe some of us have shed tears. Some of us just haven't been able to let go at this point. And that's understandable, because something like this happening so suddenly just catches us off guard. But there's an account in the Bible that really helps us in this regard. It's in the 11th chapter of John. You know, here Jesus had some very close friends, Lazarus, Martha, and Mary. And he had gotten word that Lazarus had gotten sick. And later, his disciples asked him, because Jesus had told them, well, you know, we're going to go to see Lazarus because I'm going to awaken him, or he's sleeping right now. And they thought, well, why do we need to go see him if he's sleeping? He's going to. Okay. Am I unmuted again? Yeah, I'm unmuted again. Okay. Well, anyway, so he said he was going to awaken him from sleep, but let's look at just the compassion Jesus had. If you go to verse 33, in verse 33, you know, Mary was very sad and realized that if Jesus had been there, her brother wouldn't have died. But look at verse 33. It says, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her weeping, he groaned within himself and became troubled. Isn't that comforting to know that the Son of God has that kind of compassion? Verse 34 says, he said, where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. And notice this, Jesus gave way to tears. See, he saw just how difficult this is to us. And he actually shed tears with them. Doesn't that give us comfort? Doesn't that help us to appreciate that the Son of God, Jesus Christ, just really feels what we go through in situations like this, that he gave way to tears. And of course, we know that he resurrected him, and that was very encouraging. But Jesus was simply imitating what his Father feels about us. You know, because sometimes when we go through difficult things like this, we might think, you know, does Jehovah really, he's just so far away, or we're just too insignificant for him to pay attention. But is that true? Well, certainly if his son Jesus showed that kind of compassion, we know he does too. And notice how this is really highlighted for us at Psalm 34. This is the 34th Psalm, evident, and you'll probably notice as we go to this Psalm that this is written by King David, which we know Jehovah inspired him so that this would be part of the Bible so we could get comfort today. In fact, many of us might know David was the one who wrote the 23rd Psalm. But notice what it says here at the 34th Psalm, this passage here at verse 18. It says, Jehovah is close to the brokenhearted. Isn't that comforting? It goes on to say, he saves those who are crushed in spirit. We are crushed, aren't we? You know, the footnote says discouraged. So it's so comforting to know that our Creator cares. We're not too insignificant to him. He loves us and cares for us so much. And that can really give us comfort in such difficult times like this. But some of us might think, well, I know, but it's just so unfair what happened, you know? Why would God allow this to happen? Well, that's what we're going to talk about next, how the Bible really gives us hope for the dead. Because quite frankly, you know, some people feel that God was involved in some of these things. Some people think that way, but that is misinformation. See, the Bible does not teach that. It actually teaches us that our Creator is a God of love, and he feels very sad that things like this happen. In fact, we can just tell from the qualities that our Creator, Jehovah, possesses. I mean, think about it. He has these four attributes, love, justice, wisdom, and power. And it's interesting because the Bible actually says that not that God has love, but God is love. In fact, he cares so much about us that he takes note of details of us so much. Like the Bible in the book of Matthew mentions that he even knows the number of the hairs on our head. So obviously then, if a Creator cares that much about us, he must really be sad at this plight that the human race is going through by losing our loved ones in death. Absolutely. And the Bible explains why we're in this state right now. It says that because of our first parent, Adam and Eve, our first parents, that because they rebelled against the Creator, this is why we're in this state. And Romans chapter 5, verse 12, we're not going to read it, but I'll just paraphrase it. It says that through one man sin entered into the world, and death through sin, and thus we all die because of this. And that's the plight that we have at this point, and it's sad. And there's no escaping it at this point, because we could illustrate it this way. If you wanted to bake a beautiful loaf of bread, but the pan had a huge dent in it, what would every loaf of bread that came out of that pan have? It would have a dent, wouldn't it? And so that helps us to appreciate even more so, because we have that dent, that we needed rescue. And we're so thankful that the one who showed so much compassion, Jesus Christ, his son, was the one that provided that for us. And so because of him paving the way for us, and the fact that God accepted him and he was resurrected, it leads us to this wonderful hope that we have for the near future. Let's go to Revelation chapter 21. That's Revelation, the 21st chapter. And we're going to look together at verse 4. This is a wonderful promise. We're going to see Tim again, and Tim would regularly share this hope with those that he came in contact with. That's Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. And it says, "And he will wipe out every tear from their eyes, and death will be no more. Neither will mourning, nor outcry, nor pain be any more. The former things have passed away." Now let's look at this for a moment. How do we know that this is actually not talking about heaven, but it's going to take place in the future on earth? Well, let's look at it. Tears, death, mourning, outcry, pain. Do these things take place in heaven? No, it does not. So this is obviously the hope we have for the future. We're going to see Tim again, along with all our other loved ones that have died in the past. So the only tears we'll have in the near future are tears of joy. And these things will be no longer in our vocabulary even, really. In fact, no wonder verse 5 says, look, these words are faithful and true. We can put our confidence in this. And so no wonder this really gives us encouragement, because if you go back to Acts chapter 24, in the 24th chapter of Acts, verse 15, it helps us to appreciate what future we have. And this is the hope that Tim has and all of us. It says, "And I have hope toward God, which hope these men also look forward to, that there is going to be a resurrection of both the righteous and the unrighteous." Yes, those even that have lived and died without an opportunity to know these wonderful promises are going to be resurrected and have an opportunity for life. So how forward we look forward to seeing Tim again. But some might wonder too, what's Tim, what's he going through right now? Well, if we think about that verse we shared earlier, when Jesus said Lazarus was sleeping, see, Tim is in a state of deep sleep, actually. In fact, he's actually in the safest place you could ever be, in God's memory. Isn't that comforting to know? So it's just like if we're in a deep sleep, you fall asleep, you wake up and you think it was 1 second later and you find out you slept 10 hours. That's what it's going to be like to Tim. So aren't we thankful that he's not in any kind of pain right now? So isn't it comforting what the Bible gives us, a hope for the future? So that kind of leads us to why we wanted to be here and how we benefit from being here. The Bible book of Ecclesiastes kind of gives us a good answer on this. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 9, and we're going to look at verse 11, because this verse really helps us to appreciate that, we go through life, we have goals, we have plans, we do things, but this really sums up just how uncertain life can be. Verse 11 in Ecclesiastes chapter 9 says this: "I have seen something further under the sun, that the swift do not always win the race." Isn't that true? Haven't you seen maybe a gold medal? Someone's projected to win the gold medal in the Olympics. And what happens in the start of the race? They get knocked over and they don't even finish the race. See, this helps us to appreciate just how uncertain things are. It goes on to say, "Nor do the wise always have the food, nor do the intelligent always have the riches, nor do those with knowledge always have success, because time and unexpected events overtake them all." So this helps us to appreciate that we really need to think about what we do each and every day. And it's just so unfortunate, but we just don't know what the next day is going to bring. So that's why, with this concluding thought, we want to think about this. It's found at Psalm 90, and we're going to look at verse 12 together. It helps us to appreciate why we need to make each day count. It's the 90th Psalm, and let's look together at verse 12. It tells us, "Teach us how to count our days." See, we need to make every day count. And then it goes on to say, so that we may acquire a heart of wisdom. Wisdom. See, let's use the time we have to be like Tim was. Have a listening ear. Help people. Encourage people. See, if we do this, we are truly going to make every day count. Now, one thing I wanted to remind everyone too is let's make every day count by thinking of Robin and Sandy and Tim's sister and his relatives regularly, because, we're all rallying right now, but 6 months from now, the shock may really set in. Or how about a year from now? See, continue to think of ones during these times, because that's when sometimes the grief can really set in. So this is something to think about. So if we do this, we're going to be able to really look forward to the time when we see Tim again. That's what we want, isn't it? We want to all see Tim again. And we're going to, along with other friends and relatives that have died in the past. So thank you for giving me the time to share this. Now, we do have a request from Robin and Sandy. They would like us to sing Kingdom Song that we have in our book, song number 140, which is entitled Life Without End at Last. And it'll come up on the screen and the music will. And so don't worry that, if you're afraid to sing, you're all muted, so no one will hear you. So let's sing this out together. And then we're going to have Joe Tonini say a closing prayer. And then after that, we'll have a presentation. We'll want you to stay online so that we can see some pictures of Tim's life. And then after that, there'll be a breakout room.
Hey, Lottie.
Bill Henderson.
He's on there.
Hi,
Kathy
Georgia.
DeShields.
Hi.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Sister Ebert.
Hi, Todd.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Kathy, that was me saying hi.
Hi.
It's
Hi,
just
Rodney.
great to see everybody.
Hi, Jason and Tabitha.
Hi.
Oh, yeah. This is my dad's pride and joy.
No, you are your dad's pride and joy. Hi, Rosalind.
Hey, Chris.
Say hi to everybody from the street.
Hi, Kelly and
Hi,
Beth.
Rex.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
I love
guys.
Robin's background.
Yeah.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
I can see you waving over there.
Hi, Robin.
Down there to see them in Costa Rica.
Hello, Cooks.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
Clarks.
Hi, Rex. How is it over there?
Wonderful. Right in the middle of
Sean in the rain. Hi.
it's a dry season now. No more rain for a while.
Hello.
Hey, there he is. Hey, son. It's always nice to be seen smiling
Hi,
faces.
Cooks.
Yeah, it is.
Hey,
Bonnie
Bonnie.
and Greg.
Bonnie and Greg.
Hey, Kat.
Hey, Lonnie.
Hi, Lottie.
There's
Hey,
Kathy.
Hey.
How are you?
Bonnie.
Where's Dean and Lonnie? I don't see them.
They're there.
Jane, Carroll.
Carol was in there.
Tim's
We're right
in there
here.
somewhere.
I heard somebody say
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Dean, Lonnie.
Hi,
Hey,
Ivy.
family.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Jean and Mike.
Rock.
Hi, Marcy.
Sister Jane.
Hi, Rosalind.
Some people.
Hey,
Hey,
Marcy.
Marcy.
Hi, Marcy.
78 people are
Hi, Jokey Rose.
data.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Hi, Mike and
Hey, Mike.
Irene.
Hey, Irene.
Hello, where are you at,
Greg.
Rosie?
You notice the picture behind me, Greg?
Hi, McManuses.
Hello.
Yeah, I saw it.
Greg took the photo that is behind my mom. A lot of good photos of my dad.
Hi, Robin. Oh, my goodness. That's gorgeous.
Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Joe Rose.
Robin, is Tim on that way?
Conley's.
Oh, I think he was back with Greg while he took it.
Where do you see Bill?
That was a trip we made on Highway 1 many years ago.
Ah, beautiful.
Hi, David and Clantha.
Hi,
Hi, Clantha.
Hi, Shoni Mill.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Virginia.
Hi, Sandy. Many, many years.
Aiden says hi, Cooks. Hi, Cooks.
Hi.
David. Hello.
Oh.
Hi, Lulu.
Hi.
I see you.
I see you, Robin.
Lulu, I didn't recognize you. Hi. I'm going, I know her.
Rock.
Once I knew who it was, yeah. Yeah.
Hello, Rock.
Hi, Virginia.
Hi, Mike. Is Irene there? Hi, Irene.
Hi, Chris.
She's in the other room.
Oh, okay.
She's on the phone right now.
Okay.
Oh, that was Jane. Yeah, Jane.
Hey, and Greg. Hello.
Hi, Marshall. Bevelyn.
Hey, hello, Greg.
Kelly.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
Miss you guys. Hi, Q-Tip.
Hi, Kelly.
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Alan.
Hi, Bethany.
I don't see where we are.
So we got 90
Oh, hi,
people
Tom and Jackie.
Weird.
Hi, Rose and Nick.
Hi, Kelly and Ben. There they are. Hi, Tom. Hi, Jackie. Hey,
There's
Dino.
Alan. Hey, Alan.
Good to see these familiar faces.
Right at me.
Some not so.
Hi, Greg and Bonnie.
Hi, guys. Girls.
And you're sitting by Dad.
Okay. I'm a Brazil.
Hey, Sandy.
KK.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Dad.
And
Hello.
I'll be here in a minute.
Hi, Bill and Donna.
Hello, Selena and KK.
Hi.
Hi, Tristan. Thank you for coming.
No problem.
Kristen.
That's Hoffman. That's
Tristan
Hoffman.
was with me in the hospital.
Oh, that was
Came
nice.
in to be by my side.
Oh, that was, oh,
Hello, Jack.
thank you,
Homer.
Tristan. I think Sandy was telling us about him. That's awesome. You're a nurse, right, Tristan?
Hello, Gail Comer.
Respiratory therapist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You
but
were-
I go to the Chinese group in Fresno, California.
Yeah, yeah. That's nice.
Kristen, thank
for
you
Hello,
your
for
Beth and Joel.
for everything.
Hi, Virginia.
Hi.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
Hi, Robin. Hi,
Beautiful
Jennifer.
background, Robin.
Karen.
Hi, Sandy. Hi, Sharon. Hi. Hi, Chris. Long time no see.
I
Hi, Lonnie. Dean.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Kevin.
Hi, Pitts. Hi, Marcy.
Daniela.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi.
Hi, Tom McLaughlin.
Oh.
Hi, Virginia.
Miranda.
Hi, Howard.
Howard.
Hi, Alberta and
Howard.
Howard.
Hi, Howard, Alberta.
Hi, Robin.
Hey, Howard.
Hang on.
Good seeing you. Seeing you, Tom.
Hey,
Chris McManus. Chris here.
Michael.
Hi,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Fitzpatrick.
Hey,
Yeah.
Howard, I hear
Hi,
you.
Rosa. Hi,
I
Rob.
see you, but I hear you.
Hi, Deborah. Hi, Sandy.
Yes.
Hello, Howard.
On, I don't know.
Hi,
I mean, our.
Oh,
How are you?
Hi, Miranda.
Is that Miranda?
Hi, Miranda.
It doesn't have any red lines.
Oh.
Alberta, how are you? Tom and Jackie.
Oh, he said hi to you.
Somebody said hi.
Give me a bean.
Howard.
That was us.
Hello.
Hi.
And you can just
How are you?
Hello.
Very good.
Daddy.
Chris here?
Hey, Bonnie.
I heard somebody say.
Robin, Sophia, and Christine are on now.
There you go. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hello, Lowry's.
Hi, Irene.
Hi, Irene.
24 are on right now.
Hi, Robin. I'm Ron Osterman. I used to go
Hi,
surfing with Tim all the time in Ventura.
Oh.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but
Hi, Roseland.
Hey, Howard.
Hi, Chris and Michelle.
Robin, we were all with Sharon
Hey, Robert.
in the hospital.
Oh, thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Irene.
Robert and Sylvia.
Hello to everybody. Hi, Irene.
Boy, the whole West Cliff group is in.
Hi, Margarita.
How are you doing, Bonnie?
Good, how are you?
Boy, this is once in a lifetime event.
I heard.
Camera.
Hey, Larry.
Joan.
Heard in there somewhere.
Hi, Reese.
There's Michael and Tamara. Hi, Michael and Tamara.
Susan Miller. Hey, Susan Miller.
Hello, hi.
Doing?
Susan.
Charlene, you're on here somewhere?
Oh, no.
Hey, Rosalind.
Hey. Hi.
That's one seen individually.
Bonnie.
Hello, Irene.
Alberta.
Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Hi, Chris and Laura.
Eric, how you doing, Eric?
Hey, hi.
Hey, Susan.
Hey, Tom and Jackie. There's Kathy and.
Tom and Jackie.
Hi, Howard.
Rodney and Michelle.
Hello.
Ruth and Nick. Oh my gosh. Hi, Jane. Hi, Sandy. Howard, I don't know.
I don't know.
Hi, Priscilla.
Hello, everyone. Hey,
Priscilla.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Priscilla. Hi.
Hi, Lonnie.
Hi.
We recognize Roseland anyway.
Hey, hi, Howard. Thank you.
Hey, there's Roseland. Hi, Roseland.
Howard.
We don't recognize
Howard.
There's somebody else.
Hi, Alberta.
Hi, Jackie and Tom.
P.
Hi.
Chuck
Bonnie
and
and Greg, hello.
Charlene.
Greg and Bonnie.
Hey.
Hola, amigos.
Hi, Charlene.
Hi, Charlene.
Billy.
Hi, Nick Ruth. Oh, hi, Ruth. Hi, Nikki. DeAndrea. Virginia. Cynthia. Hi,
Yes,
Howard. Hugs, 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 hugs.
Hi, Greg.
Good to see you. Hey, Robert and Sylvia. Hello. Hi,
Right there.
there you are.
Carrol.
Robert and Sylvia.
Karen.
Karen, Connie, thank you.
Hi, Virginia.
Melanie.
Hey, Chris and Michelle.
See all the people.
Looking for the Peterson.
Michelle Trout.
Costa Rica.
Hello.
See the speaker.
How can I help you?
How you
I'm used to it.
Thank you so much for coming.
Weenies. Are you gonna put it on a plan on off? Okay, yeah, no, you don't have to do that.
Wanted
to find Robin again. Yeah, just
Wanted to find Robin again.
You go to the office.
Wow, I don't know anybody on here. Maybe a I guess I could have posted a connection on the
The sound's not there.
thing, but I didn't do it.
And then give it to them, I think.
What's